Hello, class. In my thesis, I will be discussing the typical horror film after the 1960s, or like others would say, the postmodern film. So, before the 1960s, only films such as Frankenstein, Dracula, anything supernatural being was the main focus. But after the 1960s, all horror movies just followed a similar model. So, the three archetypes that most horror movies nowadays, still to this day, they still follow is the first victim. It could be a person of color or a very attractive person. The supernatural killer or monster. It's usually like a spiritual entity that they use. And obviously, the final girl, who is the person who lives at the end of the movie. So, there are four traits that every horror movie follows there's violence, violation of boundaries, irrationality, and lack of narrative closure. And the fifth, which is a separate one, is the dynamic between the audience and the film. So I will show you the first example of. So I will be showing you guys an archetype, which is the first victim, who is a person of color from Scream 2. This person's character is named Maureen. She is killed in a theater and almost ignored by everybody until she is exposed by everyone when she gets near the screen. And she's a person of color and the first victim in the sequel film. The second example, I do not have a scene because it is very copyrighted. It's obviously the first Scream movie where the character, who is played by Drew Barrymore, is a first victim, and she's obviously a very attractive woman who is clueless to what is happening. Now, moving to the traits of every horror film. As for violence, I will show you the Texas chainsaw scene where Leatherface is beating up a girl.
Behind the scenes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D.
It is evident that this woman is obviously the first clueless victim, who is also attractive, and with the costume she is wearing, it's a very skimpy outfit. And every typical horror film just goes for someone who is either wearing something skimpy, very attractive, clueless, or a person of color. Now, on to the second one, which is violation of boundaries. I will show you the chase scene in Scream between Sydney and the guy who is behind the mask. And that's when she realizes the man she's very close to is indeed the guy who is going on a killing spree.
Still think it was me, do you?
No. No. I was just thinking if it were you, it'd be a very
clever way to throw me off track. You know, using your one phone call to call me so that I wouldn't think it was you. That's all.
Really? What do I have to do to prove to you that I'm not a killer?
Oh my God.
Huh?
Oh my God.
Sydney!
Billy, watch out! Somebody! Help me!
As you can see in that scene, he violated a lot of her boundaries because he did have sexual relations with her, and she feels almost really dumb to not catch on these things. Also, towards the end of the scene, you could see that it cuts to her looking at one of her friends that also got killed, and she's just in utter shock and disbelief that the man who is, you know, somewhat her boyfriend is capable of doing these things. Now, for the third one, irrationality. So I'm going to show you a more recent film. It's going to be The Purge, election year. In this scene, for some context, these purgers are planning to kill store owners because I remember in a scene before that, she was planning to steal candy and she got caught. And he was like, you can't do that. And she got really upset. And she's acting really irrational right now as a killer because you're not allowed to do that. And this one day a year where you could do any crime you want, and she chooses that one thing and decides, hey, I should kill the store owner. As for the fourth trait, it's going to be lack of narrative closure. So I will be showing you guys a scene from Halloween, the first one ever, where it cuts towards the end. You can notice is the house of Michael Myers, where everything started, hinting that there's possibly another film, that he's still alive somewhat somewhere and his spirit is still around. And I will show you another scene from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, hinting, hey, he could still be around and this is never going to get solved, even though there is a final girl, but there's no closure to what's gonna happen next.
Furnace room. Watch yourself. Look out. Oh, man. Oh. Look out. You got it? All right. This is the actual furnace room going into where they expected to perpetrated. Got a bit of a jump there. Got it? That's okay. Come on back here. Follow me. Come
The crime scene was not properly secured by Travis County Police. 2 investigating officers were fatally wounded that day. This is the only known image of Thomas Hewitt, the man they call Leatherface. The case today still remains open.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.